We are here at a food bank in Northern Virginia. It is called Food for Others, where they've seen a huge spike in demand from furloughed federal workers who are trying to feed their families. And with millions of people across the country at risk of losing SNAP benefits if the government shutdown continues, food banks like this one say they are worried they will not have enough to meet all the need.
Frankly, it's painful. Food is the most basic of human needs.
One gentleman we spoke with is an electrician, but after his car broke down, he now relies on public transit to get to work, and a lot of the gigs start early in the morning, so he can't get there in time because the metro isn't open yet.
I had a hard time actually coming to ask for help. I had to put my head down and just be humble.
So this food bank is set up like a grocery store so people can still have a dignified shopping experience and choose the foods that they want.
Needing to come to a pantry or a neighborhood distribution shouldn't be an experience that takes away your self-respect or makes you feel.
A food bank, and we need to talk about what happens when people don't get SNAP benefits in November. The first line of defense for any crisis is a food bank. We saw it during COVID, and we'll see it in November. Food banks are already struggling financially. There is not a food bank that I am aware of that is not really struggling financially right now because we got hit during COVID and it just keeps getting worse. The food insecurity problem is worse now than it was in COVID. We have more monthly visitors now than we did in 2020. 40% of the people who visit my food bank work full-time jobs and are just still not making it. So in November, when people don't get their SNAP benefits, they will be going to food banks that already are having trouble meeting the need that they are already seeing. So the first thing that I need to say here is that you should be donating to your food bank if you can. Donate food, but also donate money. Food banks can stretch a dollar so much farther than you can at the grocery store because they can buy things wholesale. They can buy through community partners, things like Feeding America. Food's cheaper for food banks. So the best thing you can do is donate money. But if you don't have money and you've got food hanging around that you're not going to eat.
Guys, the pressure is mounting and food banks across America are starting to brace themselves for what is coming. Hey beautiful people, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by. So all credit goes to the creators in these videos. And guys, in today's video, many lines in the food banks are already stretching longer than usual. Guys, shelves in these food banks that used to be stocked for weeks are now emptying out in just hours, in just days. And some of the sentence says that they have never seen this kind of rush before. The plain truth is just that people are scared and hungry, and y'all know what they say about an hungry man or a hungry man being an angry man. The US shutdown is still on, and as it continues, it just creates a ripple effect that touches every corner of the society. Guys, you can almost feel the tension building. It's like just a day to November 1st, and those benefits are not gonna roll in. Families that are already living to paycheck now have no safety net, that there is practically nowhere to go. And people that are depending on government aid or steady federal jobs are left waiting. They are wondering where their next meals will come from. I mean, food banks are meant to, help in terms of emergencies. But now it's now becoming a daily source of survival because it's no longer the poor that is showing up. Now, regular working people, middle-class families, government employees. Oh my goodness. It's so sad when the people that help run the system now have to depend on charity to eat, guys. This is how deep it has gone.
Life here in the United States is about to take a turn for the worse, as people are lining up at 4 and 5 a.m., standing in line, waiting for food and leaving empty-handed because they didn't get there early enough and there's no more food left. That's exactly what we're being told by many of these food banks throughout the United States. Look at this right here. It says U.S. food banks brace for surge as shutdown threatens benefits. Now, I've talked about this several times over the past week, that in just mere days, this coming week, on November 1st, many people throughout the United States are going to go hungry. There's already 25 states that have said they have no money available to send to SNAP recipients. As a result, they have to wait for the federal government to reopen before they can continue sending out these benefits to millions of recipients. And that is extremely, extremely worrisome. Look at this. It says right here, the food bank, which also serves households in Kentucky and Ohio, has had to shrink its allotments as higher food costs and surging need strain its budget. I've been saying this for several months, that as food costs rise, guess what happens? The food banks, their costs rise as well. Not everything's a donation. Some of the things that they get, it's not food. It's actual money, cash. And they get it every single month from donors that here's $100 so you can go and buy, a bunch of food and hand it out to those in need. That's great. But as the economy worsens, those people that were given $100, do you think they go and say, oh, things are getting really tough, I'm going to give $150 this month? No, that's not really how it works, mainly because the economy is getting harder, meaning those people that once had the $100 may not have it anymore. Again, another problem. Look at this. It says, now facing the prospect of nearly 300,000 West Virginians missing November Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, also known as food stamps, due to the federal government shutdown, there is little more she can do. People are struggling. And it's not just the people, it's the food pantries as well. Look at this one. This says, it's really scary. Louisville Food Pantry runs out of food for the first time in 43 years.
Guys, you also imagine a food bank running out of food for the first time in 43 years. It's so crazy how one government shutdown can expose so much about the real state of a country. Because every day you hear stories, parents cutting back meals to make sure their children have enough to eat, seniors skipping medicine so that they can buy groceries, and these food banks that are running low on supplies because the demand is high. And looking at it, these are not lazy people or just people that made bad choices, right? These are people that had stable lives, satisfactory lives. They could feed their families satisfactorily from their income. A few moments or months ago, or a couple of weeks ago, but now they are finding themselves in this how do I put it now, survival mode. And the truth is just that this shutdown is about human lives being disrupted, because I feel it has moved from being about politics or being about budget. This is about people that are sitting in their car crying because they cannot pay rent, people that are sitting in their car trying to wipe their tears before they show up in front of their children. Guys, this is about people and the lives that cannot afford to wait, because I don't know what you think, guys, but this looks like it's gonna be bigger than what we think.
Hello, hi, and good morning. Just a real quick question. Do you know how many people are food secure in the United States? Because a quick Google search let me know that it is close to, hold on one second. Oh yeah, 47 million people. So think about food banks, right? Who are already serving, food insecure people, and now we are going to be taking away the benefit that separated people who are struggling from absolute insecurity, right? So these food banks that are already taxed, already don't have a wide variety of things, already lack donations, now are going to see an increase in people who did not used to need to use them because they could afford food at stores because they had their SNAP and EBT benefits. Now they don't have that. And so now we see people like the video that I just watched of the woman who showed up 30 minutes before her local food bank opened, and she was 92nd in line. 92nd. Think about that for a second. These people are using their SNAP benefits as they should, going to the store where the food is, getting the food that they know their children will eat, and then going home and knowing that they have it. Now they have to go to these food banks and they have to sit and hope that they are going to have enough food, that they are going to have food that their children will eat, that they are going to even get food at all. Like, this is the most tone-deaf comment that you can leave. Like, oh, well, if they don't like it, just go to the food bank. Like, it's so easy. Not to mention, a lot of food banks have hours of operation that are during work. You know, that thing that people do and still end up somehow qualifying for SNAP. Right. And they might be geographically inconvenient to get, which is an issue if you rely on public transportation, right? Just go to the food bank. Just go to the food bank.
Food banks will not be able to be a replacement for EBT and SNAP, and this is why. You need to know two terms specifically. The first one is the benefits cliff, and I'm just going to read from the computer because it's much better than what I'm going to explain. And it says the sudden and substantial loss of public assistance creates a significant financial setback for a family. For example, a parent who gets a 50 cents an hour raise might lose hundreds of dollars worth of health care or child care or EBT SNAP, putting their family at a net financial disadvantage. So they were actually better off before that raise, before the income increase happened. Now, the second word you have to know is the OPM, and that's the official poverty measure. And this is that cutoff line of benefits. And so again, it creates this gap where you're not self-sustaining because you don't make enough to buy everything that you need for your family, but you're also not low enough to get help. So it creates this gap. And that is where the food banks a lot of times come into play. They fill in that gap that is needed. I run a nonprofit, and that is what I do, is I fill in that gap for people that can't sustain themselves but don't qualify for aid. So when you have all these people that are no longer going to qualify for aid, and you already have this gap of people, the food banks are not going to be able to keep up. It's impossible. It's impossible.
That's just the plain truth. The food banks are not going to be able to keep up. So when that time comes, what is going to happen? Because if this shutdown continues, it's not just hunger that will rise, hopelessness, anger, frustration. And the truth is that you cannot expect people to sit quietly while their children starve. There is only so long you can push people before they actually snap, and that is just telling ourselves the truth. And the scary part is that many people are already talking about taking matters into their own hands if help does not come soon. Guys, this is what happens when people feel abandoned. Guys, when people have to depend on food bank because the government stopped working, guys, that is pure survivor. And survivor has no patience, because if something does not change soon, the hunger will not just be for food. It will not just be because people are hungry. It will be because they are angry and they want justice. Guys, I hope matters don't become worse than what the government has signed up for. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear from you. And if you have found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Please stay safe. Mental health is important. Ciao.